Well, the more collars, like the more credible the argument. I think that's kind of how it goes.
Counter to intelligence.
Welcome to Counter to Intelligence. I'm Ken, and with me is my non-artificial intelligence friend, Tom.
I am not a robot, and
Even
I
if you were, yeah, I'll
yeah,
take
you'd
it.
be okay with it. Like
I would.
maybe that's how deep the conspiracy goes. Maybe Bigfoot's trying to replace people with AI. I don't know.
You think that Bigfoot understands AI?
Bigfoot was here in my backyard and basically trained a neural network using sticks. It was impressive.
That was your son.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. He's
He
kind of like
can be,
Bigfoot.
he's tall. He can be confused for Bigfoot.
He can
So,
be, and he doesn't shave enough, so that's
yeah.
probably where it's all coming from.
Yeah, and if people just join, they now know what we're talking about today. It's Bigfoot. And we just started right talking about it.
Right. Yeah,
But
we went in. That was a fast opener. That was pretty
yeah,
good
it
for us.
was very quick. We're already in it. But like I'm pretty sure everybody knows what Bigfoot is, but I'm gonna kind of give a description for those who may not know. Although, I'm pretty sure everybody does, but let's do it anyway.
Someone could be shocked out there. They'd be like, this
Yeah.
is a thing? You never know.
Yeah. So anyway, Bigfoot, he's also known as Sasquatch. He's also known as Wild Man. He's also known as a Yeti. Uh, goes by many names, depending on what part of the world. Yowie, Booger, that's another name.
Booger.
Yeah, Booger. That's down in the south. And Skunk Ape. There's just many different names for this guy. Basically, he's a hairy ape-like creature, and lives in the wilderness in the United States, mostly Pacific Northwest, but there's actually sightings all over the country with him. And like I said, around the world, Australia, everywhere has, even Scotland has a Bigfoot creature.
Wow.
Yeah,
Next to the Loch Ness Monster,
they're
or
what?
is Bigfoot next to the Loch Ness Monster or farther away?
He's in the Highlands, so
Okay. All right.
but it's just interesting that around the world, everyone has this hairy man, Bigfoot type of creature out
Yeah.
there. Roughly, they say he's anywhere from 6 feet to 15 feet tall. So, so I'm guessing a 6 foot one is a young kid. 15 foot, that's dad or whatever. And then grandpa
Right.
gets back down to 6 foot because you shrink
You
as you get
shrink.
older.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough.
The footprints people find can be anywhere up to 24 inches, which is pretty big, long, and 8 inches wide.
Wow.
And most people say that Bigfoot smells bad, but he's living in the wilderness, probably doesn't understand hygiene.
We shouldn't
So,
judge. Yeah. What if
yeah,
he
I'm not
smells
judging.
good to
Does he
himself?
smell bad, or is he just like, musky?
Yeah,
Maybe that's
right.
how, yeah, patchouli, like I used to think some of my friends smelled bad, and it was because they put patchouli on because they didn't want me to know they were smoking pot.
Oh,
Or not me, but other people.
other
Like
people,
yeah,
right,
I,
were
I
doing it.
didn't care, but they were putting it on so their mom and dad didn't know they smoked pot. It's like, dude, the pot smells better than the stuff you just put on.
Yeah, that
So
sounds like a bad
yeah,
idea.
like
So he could be a pot smoking beast, is what we're
yeah, it
saying.
could be. Who
Yeah.
knows? He may partake in something. I don't know. Where now he moves silently. That's one of the things, like people say, like he moves around pretty quickly and kind of vanishes, but he's also known for being very loud and boisterous and high pitched, and he likes to hit sticks together. It's called
Yeah.
wood knocking.
I mean, I know a lot of like 8-year-old boys that kind of have the same behavior. So
Yeah. So I
yeah.
mean, that's a basic idea of him. Like like right off the bat, what are your thoughts on that? Oh, and today's episode is brought to you by my homemade raspberry iced tea.
Oh,
So
that's impressive. Wait, sponsorships, if you want to sponsor this iced tea, you could provide the name of the iced tea and get a
hey,
sponsorship. Yeah.
I'm gonna throw this out there because I'm gonna say sponsored by Sasquatch and Me by Gregory Fedora.
Oh,
It's a
that's
great
good.
book. It's fantastic. It's humorous, and it's a good read.
It's a good
It's
read.
about his adventures living with Bigfoot. So it fits
I
in
hear
with our
good
story.
things about Gregory Fedora.
Yeah.
Really good things. So I'm not biased at all.
I've heard things about him. I won't say they're good or bad. But anyway, so I'm throwing that there. Sasquatch and
Yeah.
Me. It's on Amazon. Go
That is
check it
like
out.
the best definition as an acknowledged author and expert in this subject yourself, that I've ever heard. I think I did not know the skunk. What was it? The skunk? What?
Skunk ape is in Florida.
In
Um,
Florida. Skunk
I
ape.
think the guy's name is David Healy or Sheely, David Sheely, down
Sheila.
in Florida. He has a museum at down at Okeechobee on the Everglades, and he's the foremost expert. And now this is interesting. A few years ago, there's a guy named Nate Augusta who did a documentary on the skunk ape and with David Sheely. I ended up working on it, editing it for that. He
Wow.
had done it and then they wanted to redo it. So he sent to a friend of mine, Seth and I, and we put it together, put it on DVD for him. So we kind of remastered it for them. So I had that connection to this,
That's
which
amazing.
was this was a long time ago. Oh my gosh, going back to probably early 2000s.
Right.
So like 20 some years ago. But
Wow.
so that's my connection. But David Sheely has like if you ever go down to the Everglades, go to David Sheely Skunk Ape. He also has a Skunk Ape Festival, which is a big like rock fest down there.
So is that like rock bands or like
Yeah.
actual rocks? I
Yeah,
just
no, they're real rock bands. Like, he
okay.
gets like legit people coming. It's pretty fun time, but
That's cool. Do they have like actual Bigfoot statues and like Bigfoot
yeah, he does. He has
memorabilia?
like Skunk Ape has been it's another one that's been around a long time. It predates like the Seminole Indians have stories about it. And
Right,
basically they call it that because it smells like a skunk. And
right.
so or as bad as
As
a
badass.
skunk. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like they'll find hair samples and people like touch the hair samples and then their hands just reek.
Ooh,
And it's almost like you have to go through the process of what you would do if you were sprayed by a skunk. I mean, that's how bad
right.
it smells. Like you have to do tomato just from
Oh wow.
touching the fur.
So this
And
stuff
like
is
that
not
people
coming
think.
out easily. This is like for real. So this has to be something people really are smelling like that, right?
Yeah,
It has to
something.
be
That's
something
something.
that's real.
Yeah, and I've been around teenage kids and they don't smell that bad. So now so I do have some histories of some sightings if you want to
Yes.
hear some.
Well,
A guy,
Patterson, right? Is Patterson the number one? There's yeah.
in 1811, a guy named David Thompson is credited for finding footprints in 1811 in America. Roger Patterson, he filmed the alleged Bigfoot thing in California in 1967. That's still debated to this day. Some people say he recanted it later in life, saying it was fake, but still, like people have been trying to figure out if it is fake. The suit that was used is so amazing and shows muscle, shows like move the way it moves, the fur, everything. It was it would have been hundreds of thousands of dollars to create that back then. And why would he do that for a 30-second piece of film?
Right.
And he goes like even today, I mean, it's like the standard of I mean, there's movies that don't have stuff that
Yeah.
looks that good.
No, it's
And
totally true. The muscles like move correctly and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
And now you have like,
and the stride it has is pretty wildly like
yes,
if it is a person, it was a really big dude under that
it,
suit.
it
So
was. Yeah. Well, I know
so
now, like in Disney animation and stuff, they actually try to model that in the computer, the muscles. Like they didn't have
uh,
that technology back then. And
yeah,
that was real life anyway. Like
how would
how would
you
you
do
do that?
that?
Yeah.
And also throughout in the 1950s, there were people spotting it and finding footprints like woodworkers. Amazingly, another story is Teddy Roosevelt wrote his book, and I'm totally gonna blank on the name of the book, but you can look it up. He wrote a few books, but in one of them, he tells the story of two trappers being attacked by a Bigfoot, or he
Oh,
calls it a wild man because it was not known as Bigfoot at that time, but it was a wild man, hairy wild man, and it attacked two trappers, killed one. The
ooh,
other survived and told the tale.
yeah.
And it's in one of and Teddy Roosevelt believed in Bigfoot. He was big into cryptid monsters all around.
Hmm.
Like he was wanting like there's many different other besides Bigfoot that he wanted to hunt. He was a big hunter. He just you know besides being
He was the guy that said, "Speak softly and carry a big stick," right?
yeah, and his big stick was a rifle.
Right. for Bigfoot.
Yeah,
Now we know the true meaning of the quote.
yeah. So, but now the story of Bigfoot goes, you know, in America it goes back even Native Americans.
Right.
Like,
Petroglyphs.
and again, yeah, the petroglyphs. They again, it was always, wild man, hairy monster. Um, and they go back to the early 1700s, 18, even further back with the petroglyphs. Go way back. Uh, I believe in out west there was a couple incidences. There was a sighting by a guy named William Rowe in 1955, but then if you go back to 1924, there's a place called Ape Canyon,
Right.
where these I guess it was lumberjacks or something. I
Mhm.
believe were trapped in a cabin, and whatever it was attacked them and threw
Right.
rocks. Or maybe they might have been prospectors, but they were stuck as near Mount St. Helens.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
and so you had that. Another was a place called Marble Mountain, where a it was a youth group was camping, and they filmed some grainy footage of something.
Yeah.
Again, is unclear what. And there's the Allegheny Bigfoot, a guy named Rick Jacobs in Pennsylvania's Allegheny National Park also got footage of a blurry incident. And most recently, there was something in 2012 in Provo Canyon, Utah, and that's
No.
another sighting. I mean, there's just tons of sightings. The sightings go wild back. And if you saw the thing that um, agency put out on our website,
Yes.
he talked
Agency.
about that there's been 75,000 sightings,
Yes.
but that to whatever that group was, and of them, um, only believe 5 to 6 thousand are legit. But
Right.
still, five
But
to
that's
six
a lot of
thousand
legit.
is a
Yeah.
lot.
I'm sure some
Um,
people are seeing bears and other things, but
yeah,
some of those films, I mean, I've seen multiple films. I feel like maybe there's this in the evolutionary chain, like before, like from bears to humans or apes to, I don't know,
yeah,
somewhere in there. Like the creature definitely looks like an in between. Like
yeah,
it's what you would imagine would be kind of in between
yeah,
because it walks upright and it's hairy.
yeah. And like I said, like it's not just an American thing; it goes around the world. You got it like
Right.
in Central America has stories. Uh, Obviously, the Himalayas have the Yeti.
Right.
Um, they even have supposedly part of the Yeti uh, over there in a shrine. And some scientists actually took some hair samples from it and did DNA, and it came back inconclusive of what this was. Like there was no known DNA it matched.
Oh, wow.
So, but some people say it was really old and corrupted, and so many people have been around that perhaps that was it. But again, that's strange that like you would think that if it was corrupted human wise or other, like it would come back with some trace of human, but it came back
Right.
inconclusive. So that was
So
interesting.
nothing, so no parts of it were human DNA and no parts of it were like
Right.
bear or something.
Yeah. So it was like, it was a weird, and I saw that on, I can't remember, the show was with Josh Gates, and I think it was Expedition Unknown, or it might have
Oh,
been
yeah, I know
Destination
that
Truth.
one.
He has had two
Yeah.
different shows or multiple shows, but is either Destination Truth or Expedition Unknown. He did some of the research and talked about it, and that's where I got that info. And as far as I know, that has not changed.
Right.
No. Do you know
Wow.
where one of the oldest stories of a Bigfoot comes from?
I mean, I thought there were ones from the ancient world where they had like the petroglyphs and the footprints on the rocks and
Yeah,
yeah.
it does, but there's one. This is interesting. I only found out as I was doing research this week. I had not even heard about this. Was the Epic of Gilgamesh?
Oh,
Which,
I know that one. Yeah.
yeah, it goes. It's
Bigfoot's in
over.
there?
There's over 4,000 years old. It's like the
Right.
story, and it has like the flood. It has all these, a bunch
Right.
of stuff in the story. Um, I guess it's from the they say 18th century BCE, and in it there's a creature known as Enkidu. It's Enkidu,
Yeah.
and he's described as a large wild man covered with fur, and according he was created by the gods to rule over the wilderness. and
Whoa.
he's roughly the story is that he is about uh 8 to 10 feet tall and huge.
Wow. So
And
this is
but
like
he has
it's the
some
oldest
human
story.
traits, but
Yeah.
animal traits too. So it
But
goes
isn't
back to
the
like even
Epic of
that.
Gilgamesh is like the oldest story, right? So that's
Yeah.
yeah. Wow.
So
So
even then they had that. And I thought that was an interesting thing because I'd never even heard that.
I
So
neither. I mean, I think I read that poem or the epic or whatever like years and years ago, but like I don't
yeah.
remember that being the what it meant. So that's interesting, and I'm
Yeah.
sure
So
it's right. I looked it up as you were talking, and I totally agree.
yeah,
Now I feel like something was there. Like yeah, maybe it's a weird bear. I don't know.
yeah, I know. But like it whatever it was, at first it was kind of an enemy of Gilgamesh, but then they became friends and they worked
Right.
together
Yeah.
in the story.
Yeah.
And I'd read it a long time ago too, but I guess I wasn't really putting together. But then when I was doing the research and I read about it, and then the description of him, I was like, oh yeah, that does sound like a Bigfoot wild man. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Um, so what do you think is going on there? Like, what do you
Yeah, I
think this
definitely think
creature
there,
is?
I don't think they're all fake. I think there's something there. I do think
Mhm.
sometimes probably it's bear or something, that people are just
Yeah.
getting a bad glimpse of. But I wonder if there is a creature that, again, kind of on the evolutionary chain that's like somewhere in between, which would kind
Mhm.
of be consistent with that DNA evidence. But they must be intelligent, like more intelligent than the average bear, right?
Yeah. But
And
like
able to
Yogi,
hide. Yeah. What?
like Yogi.
Like Yogi.
Yeah.
Like Yogi's not smart enough to be a Sasquatch.
Oh,
But my question is, because we assume it's a he, is all over. I wonder if he is actually a they. I wonder if it's the whole species.
yeah. I
Right.
think there has to be more than one. There has to be like a male and female and
Right.
population of them somehow.
Right.
Um,
Because I did see a show that showed little footprints. I mean, they're not, it was inconclusive whether they are human or not. But one theory that I've heard is the little feet look like human feet, but as they get
okay.
bigger, they grow into the Sasquatch feet that people are finding that are huge because they're found around the same place. And there was a sighting where it appeared to be like a family. There's like three of them, which would
Okay.
be kind of freaky in the woods if you see one and then you look and there's like two more staring at you. That would be a problem.
Yeah. Now, so you think it's a real creature then? You're the
I think there's something out there because they've gotten tapes of it. There's enough people
yeah,
have seen it. There is something out there that I think is beyond a bear. Maybe it's a weird kind of bear that nobody, like
yeah,
walks like this or something. Who knows? But like, I feel like there's something out there. It may not, maybe it's not even intelligent, but maybe it's just like a weird bear.
yeah.
Or here's my other theory. Maybe this is like this might sound bad, but like almost like a bear that had a genetic mutation and like was kind of born with a disability and was kind of like jettisoned from the family or something.
Hmm.
And then maybe there's enough of those that they mated and made more of those. I don't know.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
Now, I have a theory that it's a strange interdimensional creature,
Wow. Okay.
and here I'm going to explain why.
I want to know why.
All right, here. So it has the ability, whatever this is, people will see it, and then suddenly it is just gone.
True.
Like it can evade. So either it just knows the woods that well, or it's coming in between dimensions that it phases away. Now I also go, have you ever seen the movie Into the Spider-Verse?
Yes.
Okay. Now remember when they like Peter Parker comes to Miles' world, every now and then he kind of glitches. His
Right.
body's glitched because he's from a different world. And
Right.
his world is on a different frequency, different dimension. So my theory on why we never get good photos of him is he's on a different plane. His body's vibrating at a different rate than we our realm. So when people try to get pictures, it can't be clear because it's like he's vibrating even though he's moving.
Oh my gosh. That's funny.
Yeah.
It's like that girl in one of the Marvel movies had that, right? She was
Yeah.
vibrating a weird way.
Was that America in I can't remember.
I don't remember her name, but she was like vibrating and she
Yeah,
would
she
like
would jump
turn
from dimension
invisible.
to dimension. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's my theory on that. That's it. That's just
Wow.
one I'm throwing out there. Now,
I
a
was a
lot of
little
people,
more concrete related to evolution, but yeah, it could be an interdimensional being. I hadn't thought, about that possibility. So what's the other dimension they're in? That's the question.
I don't know. But now
Yeah.
here's. Do you want some other theories that are out there?
I am very excited for this.
I'm going to throw these out there, and you can comment on. Obviously, the one is it's just this big hoax people have been perpetuating for hundreds and thousands of years, which I don't think people like. If Bigfoot came about like in the 1980s, I could
Right.
say, okay, I can
Yeah.
see people hoaxing it. But the stories that go back thousands of years, I don't think like humans 2, 3,000 years ago were like, this is going to be funny. Like
Right.
I think their mindset was different than ours. Like they were like, we need to survive. We're
Right.
trying to continue to live. There's this weird creature out there that's pretty big. Like, so I don't think they were hoaxing it thousands of years
I
ago.
totally agree. They're not like, oh, in 2025, there's going to be a
This,
podcast. So let's
yeah, this is
start
gonna
that.
be so funny, guys. Let's just make like our ancestors because they didn't even know their descendants were gonna live. So
Right. Yeah.
they unlike me, I've buried a bunch of fake skeletons in my backyard. So hundreds of years from now, people are like, "Wow, what's going on there?" So
I, you were prepared. That's the
yeah,
best,
so yeah, I'm
yeah.
in the long game to do these pranks. I don't think the people back then were.
Oh
You
my
know,
God. Oh my gosh. We should totally get a Bigfoot skeleton and bury it in your backyard. Like
that would
that's
be amazing. Yeah, we need to find one. Yeah, if we can find. Now,
yeah.
now, that's a big one. Obviously, people say they're pranks. Here are the other theories people throw around. Bigfoot is an alien.
Oh, okay.
Bigfoot is a descendant of the giant ground sloth, which kind of goes with what you're saying of bear
Yeah.
thing. Because if you look at a giant ground sloth, they kind of did walk on two legs,
Yeah.
um, but they're slow.
Yeah,
Like
they're very slow.
I mean, sloths are slow in general. That's why they're called sloths.
Right.
I mean, you know, now, here's one that kind of fits with what I was saying. Bigfoot is paranormal in nature and magical and possibly uses wormholes, which kind of goes with what I was saying. Now, here's
Right.
the other one. People say Bigfoot was mentioned in the Bible, and
Whoa.
they go with the Nephilim. Like,
Really?
so people are because like if you read the description of the Nephilim, a lot of people think like I don't know how you could really connect, but like in the Bible, it talks about Nephilim being these giant things, and I guess a lot of people think of um Goliath and his brothers were the descendants of Nephilim. I think there was also a king who is described as a Nephilim or a descendant of the Nephilim of the Amorites. I could be wrong on that, but it's one of those kings like Amorites or but it wasn't a Philistine king. It was a different guy. But even like I guess when the Jewish people were coming into the land and they said, "Oh, the Nephilim are there," so there was something scary,
Yeah.
and people really don't know what the Nephilim is. It's kind of thrown around, and we don't really understand fully what Nephilim were. A lot of people now think it was giants or big guys, scary looking dudes. So it kind of fits with the Bigfoot.
It does. It does
Um,
kind of fit.
so a lot of people think that was it. Another interesting here's another one I'm going to throw out there because I know Bible stuff. King Nebuchadnezzar at one point was so proud and haughty that God cursed him for a time and he became like a wild man in the wilderness.
Oh
And
my
it
gosh.
talks about he became covered in fur and hair. And for
Wow.
like I think 6, 7 years, and until he recanted and he asked God to forgive him. And then he became so, but it describes him that God cursed him to be like a wild man.
Right.
And then it describes him as being this furry, hair covered
Like
dude
Bigfoot.
wandering.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost like a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And so obviously that was something they knew of, and they
Right.
knew like the people knew about, oh, a wild man covered. Oh yeah, we know what those are. And so it was like they didn't have to. He didn't have to describe deeply what happened to
Right.
King Nebuchadnezzar. It was just like
Right.
this is what happened. Oh, we know those. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
those
They,
things are
they're in
around.
our area. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting that there is a biblical connection.
could it be a modern day curse, right? That could be, could
Yeah.
you think the same things
Could
happen?
they could Bigfoot be from a group of people that had done something
Right.
and they were cursed by God and then they continued.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
That's one of the most interesting theories I've ever heard.
yeah.
Only on this podcast will
Yeah,
we
I bet you no one has ever put King Nebuchadnezzar and Bigfoot in the same sentence
probably not. It
till
just
right
happened here
now.
today, folks.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, eh, do you want to we actually have a viewer listener question.
Oh, I would love to talk to one of our Arbitron rated listeners.
Yeah, so let me get pulled up.
Are
This
we
was sent.
Arbitron rated or are they moved on? I don't know. It used to be Arbitron did all the rating. I'm not sure who does it
Yeah,
now,
yeah, I
but
think they still somebody rates stuff.
somebody's doing it.
But
YouTube, maybe.
yeah, so this comes from a listener name is his name is Tashinga,
Tashinga.
and he sent us this. We're gonna put up so you can hear it.
Hey Tom and Ken, I got a question for y'all. Where did the name Bigfoot come from? Like, what was the first person to, call him that? Like,
So that's a good question because like you
Okay.
had like he's been known as Wild Man and Sasquatch Yeti, the Booger, which is the Alabama. It's got uh, the the Downy Booger. That's a Bigfoot story. Skunk Ape, you know. So you've had all these names. Do you when you were researching, did you find out when the name Bigfoot showed up?
I did not. I knew it was Sasquatch other places and Yeti, like in the Britain, I think is the more common name. But that's all I figured out. I bet you know.
I do. I looked it up when we got the question. See,
Yeah.
I didn't let you know we got this question. So when I got the question, I was like, I'm gonna find out because then it makes me look super smart.
You do look really smart
Yeah.
right now.
But then
Yeah.
I gave it away by saying that I looked it up. I've known this for such a long time.
Yeah.
No,
I'm the
like
only
so,
person that does it, I'm sure. Yeah.
yeah. No, but I did think that that's a really good question because I never thought about like you
Yeah.
just know Bigfoot, Sasquatch. It's like
Right.
synonymous. And
Yeah.
it's like, so there had to be a point because I said like even Roosevelt wrote about, but didn't call it Bigfoot.
Right.
So the name I looked up and it first gained widespread usage in 1958 when a story about a large mysterious footprint was found in Bluff Creek, California, and it was written in the Humboldt Times newspaper. And that was the first time it was referred to as a Bigfoot.
Wow.
So he's known like which is nice, you know, because like it's better than like the skunk ape. He's known for smelling
Yeah.
bad.
That's a bad
Like,
name.
you
Yeah.
know, I used to feel bad like he was known for being Bigfoot that were like picking on his feet size, his foot size. But
He's got self-esteem issues. That's probably why he's running away.
yeah, and he doesn't, you know, and he's probably just like just doesn't want to be bugged,
Right.
you
I
know.
wouldn't, I mean, I'm there. I've got big feet. I don't want him to see them, and
Yeah.
yeah, it might be tough. Do you think like within the Bigfoot clan, that's like a thing, right? Like, so for like, just regular humans, it's kind of like being tall is like viewed as like a good thing. Maybe like
Yeah.
the size of the feet are like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
you're
and what if like I saw that cartoon where it's like actually the Bigfoot just has giant feet, but he's only 2 feet tall, and that's why we never see him because he's like underneath
the
the
stump.
bushes.
Yeah.
And no, it's like wow. So yeah, so it's the foot size that determines who's the leader of the clan.
Oh yeah, because you stomp on the other feet. There's probably
Yeah,
a whole ritual we could come up
yeah.
with. Or I
Well,
mean, observe. Yeah.
yeah, observe. So you still think it's probably some sort of genetic weirdness with bears,
I
or
feel like
like
it's
now
some
that you've
kind of
heard all the
yeah.
different theories, like
Yeah,
has
I
it?
mean, as tempting as the interdimensional creature is, I feel like it could just be like an ape or a bear that had a genetic thing, or a sloth. I learned today sloth could be it. But something evolved and yeah,
Or what
became
about a human that just had a genetic?
that would be a
Cause, 'cause
huge change, right? I feel like that's such a big change. Because
is it?
it looks like a bear to me or an ape. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the difference between us and apes, I think is like 1 or 2%. It's not that much different in terms of DNA. So I
Yeah,
feel like maybe this is like an ape plus half a percent or something.
yeah. And it had to be a really big dude. Like,
Yeah,
like
yeah. I don't feel
it,
like if you're that tall, you can fake that.
And I think they said something like, because like when you look at the imprint of these feet, like
Right.
whatever it is, had to weigh like a lot.
Right. Yeah. If they're
Like
proportional to
like
us, it's like hundreds of pounds.
yeah, like hundreds and hundred like eight 800 some pounds and stuff.
Right.
Like some
Yeah.
of them, like they're like, wow,
Yeah.
that went in pretty deep here. It's like,
Yeah.
and you'd have to weigh. I'm like, wow, so you'd have to be a fatty.
Yeah. I think Bigfoot's fat with big feet.
Yeah, and I'm not fat shaming anyone. I'm
No,
just
don't.
saying
Man.
I feel like if you weighed 800 pounds, you can't, and that's the other part that's confusing me because if you are weighing 800 pounds and that nimble in the woods,
Yeah.
like I I I weigh like 165, 170,
Yeah.
and I'm not that nimble in the woods. Like,
No, you would get eaten by Bigfoot. I feel like it's dangerous. Do you
you
think we
think?
should maybe do an on location episode too when we go look? Because I feel like we need to fly to the Northwest and get some cameras and just do it.
Yeah, we could go to Mount Rainier,
Oh, okay.
which is a hot spot for which is interesting that was also one of the hot spots for people who disappear on our previous episode. Mount
Yeah.
Rainier was one of the hot spots of people disappearing. It's also interesting that Mount Rainier is also a hot spot for UFO stuff. Mount Rainier's got a lot going on there. Like,
They should like charge extra money to just go there. Are they a national park though?
yeah, there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I no,
But they may
I
need to
was gonna
start
ask.
charging money so, so they can get some rangers out there.
That's that's what we should do. Maybe we can go and say we will do the ranging duties for today, but we need some tips to start, to start
Yeah. Yeah.
asking folks for it. But we could tell the stories of what's happened in Mount Rainier to people.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and this connection now, because we promised the viewing Arbitron rated listening audience the connection. So the connection, I think, is like when these people went missing, were there sometimes Bigfoot activity like reported around the same time or
I don't know. See, we'd have to do more research on that.
yeah,
I just know that all three of these things, like the UFOs, the Bigfoot, and the missing people, Rainier has a lot. Not as much as a Grand Canyon apparently, which has the
yeah, they're big. Yeah,
most disappearances, but it also has. There are some Bigfoot sightings in the Grand Canyon area too,
right.
and there's pictographs or no,
Petroglyphs, I think, something.
petroglyphs
Yeah,
of Bigfoots and stuff in the Grand Canyon.
yeah,
So it's like interesting that, like all around the world, there's these weird pictoglyphs of giant men, furry
yeah.
dudes. And I think there's even hieroglyphs that show stuff like that over
Oh,
in
that's weird.
Africa,
Yeah,
like
Africa.
that there's some interesting connection
Yeah,
of the different. And like I said, it's one of those things where there's stories of these creatures all around the world to the
right.
point that it's like it's a common theme in humanity that there was this creature out
And
there
still
doing
is,
things.
apparently. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And you can see how people might extrapolate from their imagination, but I mean, we have video now, so I don't think it's people's imagination. They're seeing something
yeah. And there has been I do see there's in Alaska there was a town and this is another one that I find interesting. It's Alaska was a fishery town and it was doing really well. And then the whole town got abandoned because a again it was before they called it Bigfoot it attacked and killed people and it was described as a Bigfoot. It was, but I mean, again, this was before they had named Bigfoot. Now
Right.
it's known as the killer Bigfoot of Alaska. But this
Oh,
town is still abandoned. It's there. People have gone to it and researched it. Some people have done like thermal stuff with the
right.
drones and seen something. And one of those, it's a show I'm throwing out shows, so we should get paid by these people. But there's a thing called Expedition X, which is produced by Josh Gates. Josh Gates is like my favorite guy. I love his shows. They're just phenomenal. He does a really good job, and he tells a lot of story. One, he sent two people out, a man and a woman, and they got thermal imagery of something running in the snow, and they were following it with the drone, and this thing was running and had a big stride And the problem was they were there and it was over 2 feet of snow. So whatever was running through it had enough strength and ability to was on a sprint, was sprinting through the woods in the snow at night and not hitting trees and just knew where to go. And they try to catch they're like, we can't keep it like I mean, if you've ever run in the snow, even if it's like 6 inches, you get winded after about like
Oh yeah,
30 feet. It's
yeah,
like it is hard.
yeah.
And whatever this was like boom, and it outran their drone, whatever it was. And
Um,
it but the thing is, like you look at it, if you can probably find it online, uh, if you look at how it ran, you can tell it's not a four-legged creature. It's running like it's from above, and you can
yeah.
see its stride, and
Wow.
it's like whatever that was. And it's in this area of Alaska where this town. And when I said if something wasn't there, if it was just a person that killed these people, you
Right.
think the people would just get this guy, arrest him, kill him. But whatever was scared the people enough that they abandoned the whole town and like, yeah, we're
Yeah.
done, we're
Yeah.
leaving, and they did, and they left. And but the funny thing is, they were warned by the Inuit people. I think that's who it is, the natives up there, the Inuits. They were told don't go over there. Like the Inuits wouldn't even go to this town
So
or
they
this
knew. Yeah.
island. They knew
Yeah.
about it, and they're like, "Don't go there, don't go there." They wouldn't even go hunting on that area because they're like, it belongs to this whatever they called it.
Mm.
And Americans were like, "Well, we'll do whatever we want," and that's what we do. And then we went, and they were like, "This was a bad idea," and we left. After some people got killed. Yeah,
Right. Yeah. You have to learn the hard way, I guess, sometimes.
yeah,
But
but
I mean, that makes sense. I really think there's something out there. Maybe it's a weird bear variant, who knows, or ape variant, but there's something that people are seeing. And like you said, it's been there forever. I mean,
yeah,
I don't think there's a way to explain it unless you claim it's a total hoax, but there have been enough people that have seen this over time and with video that it's clear something is there. So,
yeah, something's out there doing something. And
right.
there's enough weird evidence, like I said, footprints.
There's footprints
Um,
here.
like there's hair samples that have been inconclusive. There's recordings of stuff too, and that's everything. Like there's weird audio recordings, and people have like tried to figure out what they're hearing, and it
Right.
doesn't fit in with any kind of animal that's known, like
Right.
that you can compare it to, and you're like that. No, no. I think there was one that the recording was very similar to a howler monkey,
Okay.
which would be interesting because I would guess it would fit on the primate scale, but it was
Right.
a lower pitch, but it was very similar calls to like the howler monkeys, but it was in the Pacific
Right.
Northwest where there are no howler monkeys.
Right. All
So
right.
yeah,
So
so
it's kind of like in Jurassic Park where you have the hybrid,
yeah,
dinosaurs, and then the mama dinosaur that like calls out to them. Maybe
yeah,
they're mini Bigfoots too.
yeah, and they're out there, talking. Like
Hmm.
now, the thing that does frustrate me is like when I watch Bigfoot shows and people say to me, it's ridiculous things where they're like, as everybody knows, Bigfoot likes this. And my thought is, how does everybody know that? How do you know that? Have you talked to Bigfoot? And if you have, how come you've never had him on your show? And like, how do you know? Like, I mean, they're guessing, like, oh, Bigfoot
Good.
loves raspberries or
Oh
Bigfoot
yeah,
likes
raspberries and
Coors
pine
Light,
cones. Yeah,
you know. Apparently, Bigfoot likes Mountain Dew because he's in all the Mountain Dew ads now.
that's true. He's
Like, I don't know.
getting good sponsorships. So,
Yeah, so good for him. Like, and he kicks soccer balls into mountains, and Mountain Dew comes out of the mountain.
right. If we
That's
see
how
that
Mountain Dew is
happen,
made, by the way.
yes,
Bigfoot kicking soccer balls into mountains.
you
So
destroy the
it's
mountain,
natural.
and yeah, oh, it's totally natural.
So
It's
I'm
like
sick of
spring
my
water.
wife telling me not to drink it. It,
Right.
it
Yeah,
comes from
that's
the
ridiculous.
mountains. It's
Yeah,
made by
spring water.
Bigfoot in the mountains.
That would
Commercials
be
don't
awesome
lie.
if we could we need to get Bigfoot. So Bigfoot, if you have technology, please like text us and we'll get you on
Yeah.
the show. And we
Or
get you more sponsorships.
or I'd love if somebody has had a Bigfoot experience. I would love to hear. Like if they'd send it to us, that'd be really
Oh,
cool.
I would love it.
Yeah. And if someone's out there and they're a Bigfoot expert or knows more about it, if they'd like to come on our show and talk to us about Bigfoot, we could interview them and talk to them about it. Like I just don't, I think I may have somebody. I have to like see if she's willing.
Okay.
She has some theories about Bigfoot that are completely different than anything we said. And I don't want to go down her because I don't fully understand her theory, but
Right.
it's a little bit darker than anything we've said.
Oh, wow.
And so like I've seen her posts and I've talked to her a little bit to try and get her on, but I just don't know if she'd be willing to come on or not. So
Wow.
I
So the
gotta,
darker there is a dark underbelly
yeah,
of
there's a
her.
dark Bigfoot underbelly,
Yeah.
according to her. So, and she's been a Bigfoot person for a while. So I just have to see if she'd be one. But I don't want to say who she is because I don't want to like expose her if she doesn't want people to
Right.
know.
I think
So
we need to get her on. This is going to be good. Well,
yeah.
we should have more guests. I think that's a good plan going forward.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, there are a couple like theories out there, like I said, that I don't know enough. And even if I research it, I don't think I could explain it right without having someone who actually has been studying it for a long time. But you know, we do have a couple requests of future episodes people want us to go into. But what would you like to do next? Because I think we've run Bigfoot in the ground. We've given all the theories.
Yeah.
You are gonna stick with it, some kind of hybrid bear thing, or
Yeah.
right? That's where you're
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
Some mutant animal. I'm going with it's an interdimensional creature.
All right. I mean,
That
these are good theories. And
and mine's
to
right.
move from that, what would we go? I mean, I don't know about a logical connection. We have done nothing on ghosts yet. We probably should do some stuff on ghosts.
You want to
Uh,
do on ghost? What are ghosts?
yeah, what are ghosts and maybe some fa are there famous ghosts? I don't know.
There are
Um,
some famous ghost stories. There
yeah.
are. Um,
So ghosts
I
would be good.
so so next week you want to talk about what do people say ghosts are?
Right, exactly. I think that might be good. And there's probably some other ones. I'm not as familiar. There's probably some other theories out there, not just about ghosts, but other things. Maybe we plan
Yeah.
2 episodes. Um, we did the drone thing. We've done, lots of different creatures. Or there's some creatures you're thinking of that maybe are different than ghosts.
Well, yeah, like I think it'd be fun to get into what Loch Ness. I think
Oh,
it
we should do
also,
a mess.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but look, I want to do the ghost one. I think what are ghosts? What are the theories behind what are ghosts?
Yeah.
And because I think I can research that one enough without having a guest. And there
Right.
is another one theory that I'd like to get into one time is what's going on with the Grand Canyon and why are parts of it forbidden for people to explore.
We need to know that.
Yeah,
Our
but
audience needs
but
to know.
no, we'll get to that. But I think that might be another one where we need to bring a guest on because I don't know fully on it, and I might have to research. And maybe we come revisit Bigfoot if I can convince this young lady to join us.
I love this. We've got a plan. This is
Yeah,
like a
but
well planned out show.
yeah. So next week is going to be ghosts. So if you
Yeah.
want to hear about what ghosts are and ideas, thoughts, we will probably not give you the exact answer you want, but we will give you all the possibilities of what ghosts are.
Exactly. And we'll give you other answers that you totally cannot believe. And
Yeah.
that's what we do on this show.
And the thing is, I live by a cemetery, so I may know a thing or two about it. And I actually do, and I'm not going to reveal, but I do have a interaction with a ghost that I had, as well as my grandmother had. And I know the story of my grandmother's, and I had a personal interaction with something, I don't know what, when I was in Gettysburg.
Wow.
And so I'll tell that story because I'm not big into the ghost thing. That's not my like ghost hunting is not my thing. I don't like it because it wigs me out. And this experience wigged me out. And part of me regrets it because like I'm not one of these people. I don't like Ouija boards. I don't like doing any
Oh
of that
yeah.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But this kind of was on the line. And I walked away from that being like, I wish I had never done that because I don't know what I was communicating with. And it kind of was like it was too much for me.
Wow. Too much.
But
Well, we
it
have to
is
hear
it
about it.
is a weird story, and I will share it. And I'll share. Actually, I have a couple Oh my gosh, I got like 3 ghost stories. 2 that involved me. One that involved my grandma, which was my grandma's one is not sinister. It's really almost sweet, if
Oh,
that can make sense.
that's a great ghost story. A combination of ghost stories there.
Yeah. So mine are my 2 experiences are kind of one is scary, one is kind of just kind of like that's weird. and then the other is my grandma's, which is not bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we
All
can
right.
do
I love
ghosts.
it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So
We got to
next we'll
find it.
do
And then maybe
ghosts.
Loch Ness after that. We'll see.
Yeah. And
We'll
I
see what
got
the
some good
audience
stories about
wants.
Loch Ness. I've already done some research on that because that's interest to me. So
Yeah,
there you
no, it
have
is
it.
me too. We got
Yeah.
it all. This has
Yeah.
been a great episode. I'm excited. We want to thank our non-existent sponsor for their great product that everyone
Yeah.
should buy.
Oh, well, I'll bring back up
Oh,
Sasquatch
yeah.
and Me
Yes, this is the product,
By
folks.
Gregory Fedora. It's a great book. It's fiction, but it's a great story. There's even like some really cool artwork in it. Uh, like you can see, like like if you're watching on YouTube, you can see some of the great artwork. Like, look, there's a Bigfoot.
I see it.
Yeah,
Wow,
it's like it's all watercolor artwork, which is kind of cool.
it is
I don't
cool.
know, like you can see Bigfoot there. There's a
There
bunch
is
of Bigfoot there bowing to one of
family.
the other Bigfoot.
Yeah,
Obviously, the one that's standing has bigger feet.
yeah.
And so, but yeah, it's a fictitious story of what happened when Mr. Fedora went to the Northwest and ended up living with a tribe of Bigfoot.
Right. But
So,
it's full of truthiness. Let's be honest. It's full of truthiness. It may not be exactly real, but it's close enough that people should
mhm.
read it.
Yeah, well, he does say at the end, I'll read the end so people don't mistake this for being legit. It says, this is a work of fiction and should not be used as a guide for survival or how to integrate oneself within a pride of Sasquatch. So,
I, you had some really good lawyers. Yeah.
yeah, it's phenomenal because as you read it, it seems like he's legit did all this. And then it's on the very last page, he lets you know it's all fake.
I'm
So,
relieved. Yeah.
yeah, but it's a good read. It's a good read. It's entertaining. I'll get you a copy so you can read it.
I
I'll
need a
find
copy. I
yeah.
definitely need.
Yeah. So there you go. So Lane Joan, thank you for checking out Counter 2 Intelligence. And we'll see you next time.
See you,
All right.
everybody. Thank you.